I'm here with a friend and a mentor and a living legend. Give me one more good adjective for you.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about this guy right across from me.
Me?
We're pretty much dressed the same. I feel good about this. So I want to talk about what everyone's talking about right now, which is race in America. So obviously there was this shooting in Charleston. I just heard just on the way here now that Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott, both senators from South Carolina, are calling for the Confederate flag to be taken down.
Well, they woke up.
They finally woke up. I saw your tweet about it. I mean, they finally
The Confederate flag is treason.
Yeah.
It is a sign of an era that is the worst mark in the history of this country. Slavery is the black mark, no pun intended, on the American landscape. And the Dixie
So what would you
flag,
say? The people that say, well, this is Southern pride. This is it's our heritage.
I would say it's baloney.
Yeah.
Your Southern pride, your heritage is slavery. You like that heritage, right? That's the good old days. The good old days was depression. And no, that wasn't the good old days. That was the bad old days.
Yeah.
And when you put that up, you're black citizens, and they vote in your state. South Carolina might have more black voters than white voters. And you do that as the symbol, and now these two senators are saying, well, we ought to take it down. Come on.
Yeah.
They knew it was wrong 40 years ago.
Yeah. And isn't it an interesting piece with Tim Scott, particularly, who's an African-American senator, Republican from the South, I believe the only one, that it took him even this long. So that just shows you how this stuff is so ingrained, right? Black
Republican senators, I've interviewed many of black congressmen, and blacks who are Republican amaze me how they come to their rationale, like gay Republicans, how they come to their rationale when they see how the main party votes.
Yeah. Well, to me, with the gays, it always seems to me, it seems so sad that if you were a gay person, that you would have to vote Democratic because you feel that you have to vote on this one issue, which marriage should be such a small piece of what you would actually
It should
vote
be,
on.
but what it comes into the gut feeling is, Tip O'Neill said all politics is local. And when something hits your gut, if you're a black American, you can say, which party has stood up more for me?
Yeah.
The blacks always were Republicans until the party turned against them, and the Democrats to the South.
Right, Southern strategy and the whole
thing. That kind of thing were terrible.
Yeah. So what do you make of the state of race in America in 2015? So you've interviewed everybody for as long.
Well, we've had a black president.
Did you think this is where we were going to be 6 years into his presidency?
We've come a long way.
Yeah.
In fact, you can disagree with Obama. I've disagreed with him. But the temper of the disagreement is particularly distressful. It's racist. A lot of it is groomed in racism.
Yeah.
When Mitch McConnell said, we were out to beat him the first day he took office, that was a terrible thing to say as an American.
Right.
That was a terrible thing to say. Why would you say that?
Right. It's bad for the nation, regardless.
Rush Limbaugh, I hope he fails. Ah, that's a good American. I hope he fails.
Yeah.
May the country fall down.
It's good for ratings.
What absurdity that is. That's absurd.
Yeah. So removing Obama from the equation, where do you think the general state of racism is? Because it seems that a lot of people think it's worse than ever. No. I don't think it's as systemic as ever, but we have major problems.
Well, in some senses, it's great. I mean, we've made tremendous advances. I mean, blacks in position of power, key blacks in the head of the Hayden Planetarium is black. One of the richest Americans is black. The strides have been great. They're 4-star generals. Come on. You got to admit, we elected a black president.
Yeah, yeah.
But then on the other hand, there's still that insidious part. It's a minority, but it's a dangerous minority that would go shoot up a church.
Yeah. So speaking of those guys, what do you make? So now there seems to be this big debate. Was this a hate crime or a terrorist attack? And a lot of people are saying, well, if a Muslim had done this, of course, we all would have said this was a terrorist attack. But because this is a white guy, we're not saying a terrorist attack. It seems obvious to me this is a hate crime and an act of terror. He was trying to terrorize these people.
Well, I call it hate crime. Terrorist attack to me is when a nation or a body of people attacks civilians. And civilians bear the brunt of it.
Right. So as a lone wolf.
If I do a suicide thing and go into a neighborhood and blow up people who aren't in the military, if you're fighting the military and it's a war, that's not terrorism. Mm-hmm. So this is both terrorism. It is a terrorism of sorts, but it's first a hate crime.
Yeah.
The guy hates blacks and he went and shot him.
Yeah. So where do we go from here for the national discussion?
Well, first we should be discussing it. We should be educating more. People should be discussing. It's not on the second tier. It should be on it should be a top tier.
Yeah.
It should be discussed a lot. Mm-hmm. It should be discussed a lot in the places where it should be discussed at Tea Party meetings and at meetings in the South. It should be discussed Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and which we know it will be for a couple of weeks, and then it sort of disappears. And unfortunately, with the crop of candidates we have coming in 2016, actually Ben Carson is the only African American on either side. So it's probably not going to be brought up that much.
So, well, it should be brought up.
It should be.
Just because you're white, you shouldn't discuss it.
Yeah. No, I know it, of course.
A white person did the crime.